Damn, son, where'd you find this?
People don't be offended by the truth. They be offended because you called out the truth. Simple as that. They don't want to hear any other narrative that makes them look bad.
And one thing I can't stand at this big grown age is somebody who acts like cause and effect does not exist. Like, yes, your actions caused this outcome. Yes, what you did lit the match. Like, why are you surprised and playing victim?
Guys, Chico, they never lie.
That's how you know somebody doesn't respect you. They listen to reply, not to be understood. They cut you off. They minimize what actually matters to you. They laugh at your boundaries, and then they call you sensitive when you try to hold the line. They show up late. They cancel last minute, forget the things you've told them, because in their world, your time, your energy, even your voice aren't a priority. They're just an option. You see, there are two kinds of people. Those who adjust when they realize they've actually hurt you, and those who expect you to adjust so they don't have to change. You don't need to be disrespected loudly to be disrespected deeply. Sometimes you'll see it. It's just in their tone, in their patterns, in the silence after you're known. Respect isn't what they say when they're watching. It's how they act when they think you'll tolerate it.
Yo, what's the word? What's the word? What's the word? How's everybody feeling today? I hope all is well. Peace, blessings, glory, praise, and honor to the Most High. Happy Thursday. Friday is right around the corner. Snowstorm is supposed to be hitting some places. I hope you got what you need. I hope you got your tires secure. You got your salt. All that good stuff. Shout outs to my poets, writers, content creators. Shout outs to the people that is in the building. I got Coach, I got Zay in the building, clipped up. You see the title. Let me bring everybody up. Let's get it. What's
up?
What's the word?
Just chilling. How's everybody doing?
Good, man.
Who's the fan, man?
Right on. Yeah. Look, man, I'm gonna bring this up on the big screen. This is a different one. It's the same topic, different clip for further context. The other one was a little shorter, but this one has a little more spice to it. So I'm gonna bring it up on a big screen and we're gonna chop it up. We'll see here.
Okay, so let's talk about some pros and cons to this living apart together lifestyle, because so many people are still shocked that people choose this life. If you've ever thought to yourself, like, I deeply love my partner, but I also deeply love my own space, then welcome. You are in the right community. I'm getting ready to break down some pros and cons of living this life, because these are things that you should know if you're considering this life that nobody talks about but should. First of all, if you're new to the LAT term, it means living apart together. And it is a relationship where two people are monogamous. They deeply love each other, but they do not share an address. This lifestyle is more about having a deep connection with your partner and less about the physical proximity you guys have. Okay, so pro number one is quick pause because I get this comment a lot. Some people think I'm pushing lat as a trend or trying to convince other people to do it. Let me be very clear. I don't care what you do in your relationship. I make these videos because people ask me these questions and because so many others have told me that they're either living this lifestyle or want to live this lifestyle. I'm just sharing my experience. What you do with it is up to you. Getting to miss your partner. This definitely spices up the relationship because we don't get bored of the redundancy of seeing each other every single day. It prevents us from falling into the routine of things, and it really alleviates that predictability. Number two is you honestly are having your cake and eating it too. Because if you're like me, like I deeply love my husband, but I also really love living by myself. It allows you to have your own space and the routines that you crave without having to constantly consider your partner. Number three is that living apart together gives you the flexibility in your relationship. You guys really get to curate the kind of relationship you want, be it based on the kind of lifestyle each of you want to live, how often you guys choose to see each other, even down to the way that you want your space to look. So for example, if you've watched my videos, you've seen that my home is very light and airy. My husband on the other side, his home kind of leans into darker earth tones, and we both get to get what we want. Number four is more independence and less codependency, because let's be honest, a lot of y'all are codependent in these relationships. When you're living the lat life, you get to love each other by choice and not by default proximity. Okay, because everything isn't perfect, let's get into some of these cons. Number one is people are going to judge. So be prepared for the endless, are y'all okay? Are y'all breaking up? Is he cheating on you? Are you cheating on him? Whose idea was this anyway? Like, be prepared for all of that endlessly. Next is the lat life is going to exacerbate anything that was already challenging in your relationship. Bad communicator, highlight it. Not a thoughtful partner, highlight it. You're a terrible listener, highlight it. You honestly have to be intentional about learning the tools that you need to navigate those bad habits, basically. Number three is that arguments are going to take more effort to resolve, right? A lot of times when you live together, you kind of make up in passing or you stop talking for a couple of days and then eventually somebody says something funny. That can still happen in the lat life, but it's different because you guys aren't seeing each other every day. So you have to make a real effort to communicate through your problems, which I think is actually a good thing. Number four is that the lat life is not for the insecure, baby. If you got trust issues, this is not the life for you. You have to learn how to trust your partner, because checking in every 5 minutes, wondering what they're doing, wondering why they didn't answer your call. Yeah, that's not going to make you happy. And lastly, because this is such an unconventional way of living, there is no roadmap. So that means that you're kind of figuring this thing out as you go, making mistakes, figuring out what works. And that can cause a bumpy road, but it could also help you get to know your partner really, really well. So those are some pros and cons. I also told you guys that I'm in the process of creating a guide for the living apart together lifestyle. It's called Living Apart, Loving Deeply. I'm working on that. I'm going to be releasing that for you guys because so many of you guys are curious about this lifestyle and you just need to know how to navigate it. And I've created that roadmap. So stay tuned. I'll be dropping that soon. Okay, so let's.
Initial thoughts. Zay, how you feeling, man?
I feel like it's there's definitely some pros and cons. Honestly, I feel like it's not such a bad idea. You know, everyone, is happy about it. As long as everyone's happy, I feel like, it's not such a bad idea.
You don't want these motherfuckers in your face 24 hours a day. I feel you. Coach, what's up, man?
I think we're going further and further away from the human race, man. Everything that we say we love about being humans, at the same time, we say we hate about being humans, and we want to be isolated and find a way to pick and choose when we just want to deal with people, when we want to deal with people. Bang. And that sounds like a scary future there, brother. That sounds like a scary future.
You know what you said?
Exposable.
You remember what you said to me earlier? You said that the woman who was speaking, she was playing a dangerous game, because while she had her good and her bad points, the way that she came off, somebody listening to her or watching her would take that and just run with it. That's what I got from this too. You know, she talked about she's about to come out with a whole catalog for people to buy into, and she about to sell merch and all this shit. And it's like, here we go. I hear some good and bad in this, but she's being very vague too, and it's like she's speaking from a selfish place, a place of, well, this is what I wanted, so
And that's that narcissistic thing we talk about that all these women possess nowadays, is they only give a fuck about the I, right? It's because of the culture. That's what the culture's pumping out there. They're pumping that into the ether and they're biting off into it. Like Zay was so passionate the other day talking about the family dynamic. That's all men right now. Remember I said a few weeks ago, there's been a role reversal where men are talking about the family dynamic, men are talking about the core, and the women are like, fuck it, I'm doing my own thing. I'm going out here to go do this and that. I was repressed for X amount of years. I'm going to be me. What are you talking about? And that's what everybody's seeing right now, the crash out of women.
Yeah. I don't know if the brothers was okay with that. Like, they had a conversation and said, you know, this works for us. I wasn't brought up that way. You work out your problems in-house. You can't just run off and spend a month away or spend your entire career outside of the household, the bills. Oh shit, well, those are your bills, so you worry about them. That's your water, that's your gas, that's your electric. I got my own stuff going over here. I never grew up like that. This is all foreign to me. So hearing it, it's like, yeah, it sounds like you really are like, it came off to me like you don't really love him the way you say you do. It's impossible, because why would you want to be separate from your person? And then you're trying to gaslight me into saying, oh, well, you're insecure if your man or your woman is not in the same house as you and you don't see them every day. Then you're going to wonder if they're cheating and this, that, and the third. Are we forgetting what marriage actually is and what it's supposed to reflect and look like? Are we trying
you ain't got to be around people all the time, man. I mean, people need their space. So before you go out on your preacher rant, I'm gonna have to jump in and let you know. You ain't got to be around people all the time, man. You need some space. I'll just say that part right there.
No, I get that, but I mean, like, you can go in another room, you can go downstairs, you can, like, you talking about moving into a whole different. Are you in the same neighborhood? Are you living next door to each other? Are you down the street? Are you around the corner?
Have you ever lived with somebody for an extended period of time?
Yes, I was married.
For how long? I mean, I'm saying, you don't have to tell me exact years, but what I'll say is long enough to when they say, hey, you like, God damn, I need to be in another room where I can't hear that. So, I mean, I'm just saying, like, there gets to a point where you want to be a little bit further out of earshot so that you can actually be at peace. Because if you still within a certain parameter, they can still call you or yell, and then you still may feel subjective to get up and go do whatever it is that they're calling you to do. So sometimes a shed, you know, it started with a man room, man cave to a shed, to now it seems like people like a whole nother brick and mortar or a whole nother house, you know, 500 square feet away. You know what I mean? So it just sounds like people weren't really getting the peace or the necessarily environment that they were looking for. So now, if they can afford it, they're looking at doing something completely different. That's just what it sounds like.
It sounds like I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna pass it because I'm gonna hear what Zay got to say. It just feels like an excuse not to talk to the person. You don't, and it's just my opinion, of course, but we talk about communication all the time. And this is just my experience. This ain't for everybody. I was married for 8 years. When we got into it, we had a divider splitting our space. She had a TV in one area with a bed and stuff at. There's another TV in another part of our apartment where the couch and the kitchen, everything is over there. So if we had disagreements or anything like that, I would take my weed, I would roll up my shit. Yeah, that was my supplement at the time. She understood it, you know what I'm saying? Shout outs. But I would roll up my shit. She would scream. We would have this back and forth. Then I would go over here. I would watch whatever I'm watching. She would watch Charmed or whatever was on TV. An hour or two passed. We'll come back to each other, talk about it. We might fuck around and get it in before we go to bed, hop in the shower, call it a day. There's ways that you can air out your grievances, separate, and then come back. But you just running off to a whole nother space, I don't know. That just seemed like you're cheapening it, the relationship, and you're avoiding actually dealing with your issues. Zay, let me ask you a question. Anything that you heard from this exchange or you want to add to this for more context?
I would say that it will probably be a good idea if the timing, was in a different place. So let's just say y'all are not married yet, but y'all just trying things out, and y'all want to build that relationship together, but you don't want to build off codependency. So you guys both have two separate places and you build off of that. But in my opinion, I feel like marriage should be togetherness. It shouldn't be separate, you know. Um I agree with both of y'all. Once communication, once visibility is away from the relationship, the dynamic changes. Your desire to see that person is low the more and more y'all away, in my opinion.
I've always heard absence makes the heart grow fonder, but that's usually with vetting somebody or maybe just dating or in a relationship. Does that apply in marriage too?
It does, man. But the cornerstone and the foundation have to be solid. And the foundation has to be solid because what happens is absence does make the heart grow fonder, but the absence can make the heart wander as well, right? So if you're not in tune and you're not on the same page, lock and key, lockstep, then what happens is resentment can come into play in the presence of absence. So it has to be an understanding. Hey, this is why I'm absent. In my absence, let's make sure that we have a plan in place, and these are our objectives, right? And so that you're making sure that you're checking these objectives, and then both of you are gaining something from this absence as well. It's not one-sided, because a lot of times in absence it would be in like work, and then more so than not, in the earlier years, it would be the man leaving because of work and the woman staying at home. And then what happens is the woman will be taking care of the kids, et cetera, et cetera. And so then now you have the FOMO, fear of missing out on what you could be doing instead of being a parent. Or the resentment is you stayed with the kids and that other parent was out working and they could have been, or like somebody else's spouses were out getting it in lieu of being out for work. And so then now the envious and the resentment comes in that now that the kids can be older, now that one parent wants to go out and catch up on the latter years. Well, now you're at a certain age trying to do something that you missed out on 10 or 15 years ago. Those years have passed you. So now that you may come in with the stunting of growth and then the issues that comes into play in the relationship. One person's at one level, the other person's trying to catch up on what they missed out on instead of just growing in a different way. They stay stagnant in what they thought they missed out on instead of pivoting and growing together as a couple and then whatever they were supposed to meet, at said example.
Yeah, I feel you on that. And I asked that question simply because I try to apply these things all across the board with everyone in any situation. It doesn't really make a difference if it's intimate or not. At this particular time, at this age, you can't afford to just be having people wasting your time at all. So I don't know. Something that Squish Arcana had said, yeah, she practiced the thing that she just spoke on, the lapped, whatever the hell that was. It worked for her. And I think one of the reasons it works for her is because of the complete opposite of what he's saying. Like what he's saying, I don't know if she's willing to put in that level of effort. I think a lot of people are doing it this way so they can avoid working their situations out like that. I could be wrong though. Like I know just being under that roof with somebody all the time, you will eventually start to rub each other the wrong way. You will. Because either you're not taking the trash out as fast as they want, or you're not helping clean up or maintain something, or it's going to be something. And you got to know how to cohabitate with another human being based on how their lifestyle was before you met. And y'all have to come together and figure it out and blend both of y'all styles in that same space. And I don't think a lot of people want to put in that type of work. Which brings me to my next question. Is this cost effective? Like, does this really make sense financially to do this? I mean, yeah, if you got the money, I get it. But like, why would I want to waste money spending it on extra bills when we could just keep some of that money, spend on and focus on this while also taking that extra that we make and putting it into something else that makes us more money?
Listen, man, go grab you 5 acres, bust it down, put a community pool on it, 2 tiny homes with a hallway in between it. They got theirs, you got yours. Y'all can meet up for brunch and tea, whatever you want to do. And y'all can meet out at the community pool on your property. You ain't got to stay in the same house, bro. It's 2026. You can do whatever the hell you want to, as long as you can afford to do
it. Zay, how about you? How you feel? Cost effective? You agree with him? Like what's your stance? Would you spend all that extra money on things that you don't need and put it into like investing in other little business ventures? Like how would you move with that?
In my opinion, this is like, for this question, I feel like it's kind of biased for me because I've only been in unhealthy relationships. So I'm learning what I want and what I don't want, and so all I can say is, you know, I feel like it could be, if you're around a person and the marriage, your significant other, your partner brings down your finances, if that makes sense, it does not help you in a way, does not help uplift you, does up, does not help uplift your character, your finances, your structure that you have for yourself. It will be kind of hard to pool your resources together if you know the balance is not there. So it could work if you know it could work if it works in your advantage, but I feel like it all depends on who you married. So like that all comes down to who you married to.
Couldn't you just take a weekend vacation instead of being removed from the home? That was how I was brought up. Today, one person would pack up a suitcase and they would just go and then come back while you still at the house. It feel like everything is being shifted completely. Like you said earlier, bro. Uh, you're taking humanity out of everything. It's getting to the point to where nobody wants to socialize. Nobody wants to actually talk face to face. It's going to be one day where your entire relationship is going to be on a device. Like you ever go to visit somebody in prison and they on one side of the glass and you on the other side? That's what it seemed like is coming down to, unless you're there for conjugal visits. The other aspects like affection, enjoying each other's company, having those good and bad moments, those are being slowly eviscerated. Maybe because you don't want to hurt, you don't want to feel. Maybe because you're trying to limit as much as the damage as possible. You don't want to be a statistic. I don't know if that's a part of this. The 50-60% of marriages end in divorce and all of these statistics. Do you think that plays a part in this right here? I'm like, I know you said you didn't have very good relationships and things of that nature. I don't think everybody here has had a perfect one, but considering what she just said and how she's clearly reached a broad audience, she wouldn't be so boisterous about it if she wasn't getting people to really buy into it and she don't have people asking these questions. Could the cause of this movement that we're looking at be because of, well, all these folks are getting divorced? There has to be a way for us to avoid this. And so by avoiding us being a statistic, maybe this might be best for us?
Well, I feel like people really don't, they really get into these predicaments because they don't really, like, they try, but they don't really fight, for something that's bigger than just them. They just look at things at face value and just, you know, say, I don't like the way this person is, or I don't like how this doesn't coincide with what I want to do. So, they just stop trying altogether. And I feel like, they make excuses, but that's just me because I'm not, I haven't been married before. So I can only speak on what I can see. But, I, I'm going to yield the mic.
Same question to you, Coach. Where does this originate from? This works for us. We don't have to see each other all day. We can come and go as we please. Is this from them observing failed marriages, failed relationships, and they say, "Oh, I don't want this to happen to me." So,
just like everything else, man, this comes from watching and idolizing, celebrities and stars over the years. They've been doing this type of stuff and having these type of activities for years, and it trickled down to people having fetishes and romanticizing about doing these type of things. And once you eventually start to do these type of things, and it tends to empower you and make you feel a certain way. The people you've idolized and these type of results and relationships that made you feel like those were a success, made you feel like that was an accomplishment, right? So now you feeling like that was a type of accomplishment, and you to be in two separate houses and you can barely maintain one household probably wasn't the plan, but that's something you're stretching your household to the limit of. But these celebrities and stars that got multiple houses, the use of tax write-offs and business plans and all these things that people that idolize them don't know shit about. It puts them in that situation till they end up ruining their relationships and ruining their lives, man, trying to idolize these people. And at the end of the day, these people end up falling and they end up being on the same level that you are because you idolize them, sitting somewhere unhappy, looking for love in all the wrong places, at the bottom of a bottle or at the end of a cigarette, like you said earlier, whether it be a Virginia Slim or a Newport 100. It's all the same shit, man. It's all got the same story. So it's just a perpetual cycle, man. It goes over and over and over again. It just tells you that the people idolize and worship the wrong people.
This conversation wouldn't be so bad if she was neutral, right? If she was speaking on both sides of the spectrum with this, like you're telling us about all of these wonderful things that come with it, but you're not talking about the downside to it. You're painting this mirage as if everything's just okay because you don't see this person every day, or there's not a chance. Who's to say just because it worked for you that is not going to work for them? It feels as if you're saying no more communicating. Avoid it at all costs. You having problems? Matter of fact, it was a part in there where she said, that it would be easier to deal with an issue in separate homes than it is inside the home. Do you agree with that?
No, man. So what it is it boils down to people. We'll say women avoiding accountability, right? So again, it just goes back to social media where we're talking about people, just like the video we talked about earlier. They find a way to not problem solve. They find a way to just hit the skip button on the CD or the virtual slide and just go on to the next version. They don't want to deal with accountability. So what they can do is just say, fuck it, I'm on to the next one. and then I'll pretend to put on this avatar or this face or this fictitious version of whoever I am until this person who pretends that they like me get or receive whatever they can from me, and then they move on. Then I blame that person, and then I go on to the next person. So it's the cycle that we continue to see over and over and over again. So and again, the cycle is about as fast as these reels and these slides are. They last 15 to 30 seconds, and you put that in real time, man, that's about 24 to 36 hours. So again, it just goes down to what you're looking for, and then how long these people can pretend and fake to be whoever they are. They call them trolls, they call them whatever they are. You just don't have a world of people, man, being accepted for who they are. So they just keep pretending to be who they can be accepted for.
Yeah, that's a recipe for disaster, my nigga. I'm not even gonna hold you. You can run from that shit all you want. You just gonna keep going back to the same issues over and over. It might not be with him, it's gonna be with somebody else. Then you're gonna keep like I don't understand.
They don't have to deal with it, and that's what they love about it. They can run, and everything's based on now, man, on the internet. If you got a nice ass, a pretty face, somebody's gonna hit you up, right? And as long as you can continue to post that and do that, you don't have to have any substance. Nobody's getting online trying to figure out what you're talking about. Hey, what's that conversation like? You got a nice ass, a body, and a face. Let's link up, see how we can get together, and then it's just on to the next one. So it's not about substance anymore for people that are online.
I did a reaction video the other day. A woman was on vacation with her husband, right? She's in the store. Her husband is nowhere in sight. She's out with maybe his sister or somebody. A guy tries to hit on her. She's not wearing her wedding ring on vacation. Her response was to him saying, well, you say you married, but I don't see a wedding ring. She says, why do I need to wear my wedding ring? I'm on vacation. It made me instantly go to this and then come back. And I'm like, hold up, wait a minute. So you don't see nothing wrong with wearing your ring or taking it off. But if the roles were reversed, I'm the one that's not wearing my ring and I get called out for it. It's Armageddon. That's what this feels like too. You can technically be free to do certain things that you wouldn't do under the same house out of the fact that you're probably going to cross some boundaries for the other person. Like we living together, I'm seeing you do things that I wouldn't agree with, or vice versa. I speak to you about it. We get into it. But because we're not under the same roof, you can get away with certain stuff. You don't have to compromise, which allows you to be more of who you truly want to be. It's like, so are you really being authentic with me? You can't be who you are when I'm away from you, but you can be who you are while I'm somewhere else.
So I'll say, man, who cares? Once you identify with it, now what are you doing? Talk about that for the people that's identifying and they need to know what the next step. Who gives a shit about people hiding stuff and all that other stuff? Once you identify it, what are you suggesting people do with it? What do you do now?
In terms of this right here, do not accept, and I repeat, do not accept this. If you ain't really comfortable with this, then that's a conversation you need to have. Because we lie to ourselves too much. Some of us, we just want vagina. And at the cost of it, we will sacrifice our dignity and everything for it. Even if it means we'll pretend like we are okay with something when we're really not.
So if you're not okay with it, what should you do next?
Ring, 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 ring. Hey, I want to take you out on Friday night. I already booked reservations for such and such. We're
I
gonna
hear Alicia Keys in the background.
hey, I'm all about making sure that the environment is exactly what it needs to be. Because what I don't want is you to be crashing out and doing all this unnecessary stuff. We here to really have a man to woman conversation. So I want the scenery to be cool. Then we can talk. As soon as we get there, we can talk about it. And I'm gonna tell you where I stand, my position. I don't have to yell, I don't have to scream, none of that. And I want this. What you want is to give the other person the opportunity to feel safe and comfortable enough to tell you the truth without there being a Kunta Kinte style ass whooping or something. You're not about to get beat. You're an adult. You have feelings. Like, come on. Nobody's here to punish you. But you don't want your time wasted, bro. I don't want my time wasted. So let's just put it on the table and then proceed from there. That's how I would do it. I would create a safe environment, have the conversation, and I will move from there. If you decide that you want to go with what I'm talking about, cool. If you don't, I will back off. I won't fight I'm not going to do all that. There's no point.
For sure. Zay, get in there. Talk to me. What's up?
You know, as I was listening to y'all, and I also got like this random thought in my head. Like, what if you got, those dudes that start beating on their women, and the women that also beat on the men. Like, what if you have those situations? Then, like, you're kind of forced to being separated from your spouse. But, like, yeah, I don't know, it was just a random thought that just got into my head. Like, those situations do happen.
Let's stay with it. So Zay, if a woman start beating on you, what? I'm not saying code of the street, but what you think should happen? If that's somebody you plan on being in a relationship with.
Me personally, I'm sorry, like, I would not take that shit.
Okay, what would you do?
Divorce.
Okay, straight to divorce. Okay, all right, cool. Off with the guillotine. No mediation or no remediation in between.
I mean,
you got married, so you knew she had problems. So I'm saying, if you were willing to get married, you know what I mean, or y'all didn't seek no help prior to, so is it straight just like one and done? And there's nothing wrong with it if it is. I'm just asking.
Well, I feel like that's why, like, the dating before you get married is so crucial, because then you would know if your person is like that or not. But me personally, like, I would. That's why it takes me so long to get married, because I'm watching out for those type of women. I'm trying to stay away from that. But if I were to put myself in that situation, God forbid, knock on wood, that I get myself in that situation. But if I were to be put in that situation, yeah, I would instantly divorce, because I wouldn't want to put my hands on you. So why would you want to put your hands on me? It's reciprocal. I feel energy is reciprocal, and respect should be demanded in your relationship. The moment that you put your hands on someone, that respect is gone. So I feel like you should always put your self-respect first. So yeah, I would definitely divorce you. You put your hands.
Would you say it's possible to meet somebody and so I'm going to say meet them where they are, right? So, and the respect is reciprocated because you meet them where they are, but then you get into an issue or an argument, and then that disrespect is displayed. Then, but you haven't had time to grow, but you're meeting them where they are. So you're just saying, not necessarily allow the time to grow. Is when you meet somebody, your expectation is they're legit and ready for a relationship. They're L7 squared. They're ready to go, and that's how you want to meet somebody. Is that what you mean? Is it safe to say? I'm not saying that's what you mean. Is it safe to assume that?
No, I feel like a relationship that is constantly evolving, those boundaries will be known from the start. So, like, once those boundaries are violated, you should have that conversation in the dating stage. I feel like that's what the dating stage is for you to get to know the person.
Right.
Of course, then you also got, marriages that, you're always learning something new about your spouse.
Right.
That should not be one of those things. If you know that your person is violent and putting hands on you, that should already be ruled out in the dating stage. Like, why would you get married to that person? But that's just me.
Cool. Let me share something with you. Full transparency. I dated somebody 1998. It was I didn't find out till after 12 months. They threw a vase at me. I'm like, whoa, what the fuck? I dodge, right? I bob, I weave. Come to find out, that's how they reacted in all their relationships prior to mine. So they was sticking instead of moving, because in the prior relationships they end up moving and not sticking. So they was getting jabbed first. So I found out they was jabbing me first. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I didn't find out that initially. I'm just giving you that example. I had to go through some shit to figure it out. You know what I mean? And to understand the psychology of it, because they didn't even know. And I tried to talk to them about it, and they just so ignorant to it that sometimes the trauma that you go through, you don't even know. You're so unaware of it. You're so oblivious, ignorant, because it's the environment that you grow up in. You go from one relationship to the next, to the next, to the next, until you bump into somebody like, yo, that shit ain't normal. At least give me a safe word. You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? And so I just say that to say, if you cut somebody off before having a conversation, one or two things happens. You don't allow them the opportunity to see the error in their ways. And the other thing is, you don't give yourself the opportunity or the courage to speak up for yourself, which is important. And I say that because right now we talk about a lot of men suffering in silence. So think about going through in a situation where you might feel violated and you don't have that conversation. Having the conversation with people, that takes power, right? When you talk to people, man, and you talk to people that's been abused and been through some things, the number one thing you talk about is addressing your accuser or your violator, or the person, if you're the victim who violated you. So I don't think I think we underestimate the power of words, that when people speak to us and they may victimize us, and your natural reaction may be to slap the shit out of them or to do whatever because they offended you. But if you don't have that conversation, let them know they offended you. And then if you don't express yourself to say, hey, I was offended, initially, when you go through it, you'll just start to hold that in yourself, and then you'll just learn to react versus use your words instead of your actions, if that makes any sense.
Isn't it interesting how a person can lose themselves in a relationship? Like, it's not really interesting. I'm just being sarcastic.
No, that shit is interesting.
You start off with this fictitious unison, but then you start to find out that the dynamic the percentage is different. Like you might be at 60, they might be at 75 or something like that. And I know about being in that type of environment, brother, that abusive shit. Women put their hands on dudes. Y'all don't get it twisted. Some of these chicks are hella violent, and it come from where they grew up. It come from people that they dealt with, all type of stuff. You said you had a vase thrown at you. I had someone chase me with a knife. Matter of fact, it was my ex-wife.
You trying to one up me, brother?
I'm just saying, like that's that shit real, bro. And unless you really understand it, it's easier said than done. You can say, all right, I'm a foul, or I'm gonna just get up out of there, but you got to make sure that you covered and you got evidence, you got video, you got audio, you essentially he say, she say, her word against yours. Usually they'll take their word over yours. The whole living separately thing, to me, it does come off as if y'all had some bad experiences and you're trying your best not to end up in those scenarios again, but that's not the way to go about it. And yeah, as Squish Arcana, he paid for the vacation. She was out in a Target or some shit. Somebody tried to holler at her, and she didn't see nothing wrong with her not wearing her ring. I don't know where they do that at, but if I find out you ain't wearing your ring, it's a wrap. Because I'm not going to trust you after that. Why the hell you ain't got it on? What's the message you trying to put out there? Are you trying to say, to me, it was like, all right, he's not your type, so you told him you were married. But if he was your type and you don't have your ring on, you wouldn't have said nothing. That's what I got from it. So yeah, I don't mess around with stuff like that. And that's how I feel about living in separate homes. There's a good chance that you could be on some BS. So when she said, "Oh, you insecure," or don't be, if you can't handle this, then you're probably, if you're insecure, then don't get involved in this. Nah, fuck that. Ain't nobody playing boo-boo the fool over here. Just say you want a polygamous relationship. Don't even get married.
Yeah, I don't even think it's that, man. I just think people just, you know what I mean? They just go through their things, and they're just so caught up in what's going on in the world today, man. People just gravitating towards what we talked about earlier. It's not necessarily a right or wrong or indifferent. I think people just don't give a shit anymore, man. And that's just the reality of it. And it's unfortunate, but you're gonna have to find a group of people that do and that still want to do better, be better, and try to move forward, man. And you just, checks and balances. You just gotta, when it comes to people, you gotta make sure they legit and they're about the same cause and the objectives that you are, because right now, man, you don't know who's out for who and who's out for themselves. And that's the things that you got to be cognizant of.
They just let a dude out of jail. He served a year for purpose. Hey, Arcana, this is some shit that you would have covered. This nigga, man, he was spreading HIV. He spread it to 20 people. They gave him a year for that. Let him out. Now he's back on social media flexing. thirst trapping. Like ain't nothing happened. So I threw that little side note in there to say for those of you who want to be out here running around pretending like you loyal and this, that, and the third, but the whole time you really on some Uncle Luke type shit. Yeah, keep that in mind. You know what I'm saying? My final question, and then we'll close out with final remarks. Should you take advice from women like her? And did you get any benefits or did you take anything out of this that would progress you moving forward? Was there any good and bad from her perspective for any of you?
I'll go, Zay, you can close it out. Listen, man, the great things is that she had the voice to speak up about how she felt, you know, and what she thought about. And you want to encourage people to do that. At the same time, you just have to keep in mind the dangers of speaking like that online. And again, kind of like we talked about earlier, and then what you said you resonated with is we just want to make sure, you know, we talk about things in duality. We give people the good, the bad. She provided pros, she provided cons, and then everything that we do is subjective. And she also provided the opportunity to sell books, series and volumes and everything else. So that also goes with marketing. And with marketing, you have to think about the psychology of it. It's tapping into the resources of the people that are hurting and going through things right now. So if you are one of those people that are going through things that you can resonate with that individual, like all good people do, check more than one reference, check 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 of them to make sure that you got good references. Because what you don't want to do is invest the little bit that you have in such a hard time right now into somebody who's bullshitting you. Peace.
Say you got the final remarks.
I would say that, yeah, now I feel like I'm aware of the situation. You know, there are situations out there like that. You know, I wouldn't like you know about it, but like it's different when you have someone, you know, put their personal opinion to that topic. You know, but yeah, I feel like you gotta do what's best for you. I mean, like if that type of lifestyle works for you, go ahead and do it, right? No, ain't no one's gonna stop you. It's like I feel like people take too many. People take other people's opinions too seriously as well. Like sometimes they hear someone's opinion and then they base their whole entire life off that opinion. You know, like Coach said, you know, try different approaches. You know, don't just stick to one video and think that's going to change your life. It's not. It's just context. And at the end of the day, it's just opinions. I mean, yeah, there might be facts involved, but it's still opinion. But yeah, I'm just going to end it like that.
And with that being said, snap into a Slim Jim. Y'all have a blessed one, man. Shout outs to the people. I appreciate y'all for pulling up. Zay, Coach, as usual, it's an honor to have you guys here. To the people that are watching, do me a solid if you don't mind.
Push the goddamn button.
You guys enjoy the rest of your evenings. We up out of here.